Modern men are dying inside, and this is a hidden crisis that a lot of people aren't talking about. So I'm a male, and I have some friends, and we talk about this stuff behind the scenes. We're dads, we're struggling in society, we're trying to find money to feed all the family. We don't have time for friends, and I think that as a whole, I want to speak here for men, and we are dying inside because we are being swallowed in the rat race, and by having too many, we've been having to wear too many hats. And I know this is going to come across as a little bit sexist, so if you're a woman, I want to say that I'm speaking for men here. And I know that this might be hard for you to understand as women especially, but this one is speaking for men, and please do not take this as sexism. And we're just essentially screaming the reasons why the modern men are dying on the inside. So the number one reason is emotional suppression. So we have to hold everything in. And I will say that it is extremely difficult. I think it was 30 or 40 years ago, this is all taught to us. Men don't cry. You're gay was a really common statement for about 20 years. And it's coming back. And it's, men are bottling their emotion and we're suppressing it. If you're a woman and you're watching this, some crucial, huge advice that I would give you to kind of help this with your man is to sit down at the dinner table or wherever and ask your man what the top 3 stressors are that he's constantly stressing out about, and actually listen to him. And not only listen to him, but try to work with him in the fact of how to help him feel less stressful. Chances are it's money. Money's number one. And you women, you need to actually listen to this. I know, and I know it's hard because you guys want to drive an Escalade and you guys want this and that and you want a family vacation. But guess what? Dad is carrying the burden of supporting all this. And I know that there's women out there that make tons of money, but I think for the general American family, men want to be this. And you need to allow him to do that. And you need to work with him to understand the struggles that he's struggling with and work with him on this plan. My woman does this great. This is one of the biggest factors of why my new relationship is successful versus my ex-wife's relationship. And I feel like we weren't on the same page with where we were aligned with future goals financially and how we want to do things. It's such a huge, crucial deal. So, and that helps him stop from suppressing his emotions, because what a lot of times happens is, conversations come up, oh, I want to go on a vacation. And the dad says, well, we can't afford this, and what actually has to happen is you guys need to sit down and have a talk about it. How could we actually realistically budget for this? Maybe we each get a side hustle or something. But what happens is in that convo, the vacation talk comes up and the dad goes, oh, I don't know. And the woman goes, you always do this. You're a buzzkill, and I think working together is huge. And I know this is kind of going down a wormhole with the emotional suppression, but men have just sort of learned that we have to suppress this stuff because we're going to be a buzzkill and we're not fun to be around. And men want to provide, but when it's out of their means and you mix in how tough the economy is, and there needs to be budgets constantly. Raising kids is crazy expensive. But yeah, so next, the second reason why modern men are dying inside is because they lack a real connection with anyone. And I have a lot of success on this channel because I'm connecting with men that aren't talking to people about their problems, and I think it connects with them. A lot of men. There's a huge epidemic right now with men not having friends, and we don't have friends because we're prioritizing everything else over friends because we don't have the energy to put in the effort to work on that friendship. We have money, we have family, we have all the household duties, and we have our job, and there's too many. To be 5th or 6th on the list of friendships, men just aren't prioritizing having friends. And it's hard because we want friends, We want friends, but we feel like we don't have the time or the effort to go and do it. And I know a lot of women, my girl preaches to me, you have to prioritize friendships, Chris, and I still don't. And it's because I'm stuck in this grind of a hamster wheel of trying to make money to make my family's life better. And I know that like the time spent on, I would rather give up friendship time to go and spend time to make money so that my kids can have a better life. And I know that that's a whole other conversation of being stuck in the rat race and trying to provide, and like that's what's hard, and I feel like women, I'm going to hear a hard time on this, but women like nicer things, whereas a man will essentially not need that stuff. A lot of men will wear the same tennis shoes. Like, how many dads do you know that have had the same tennis shoes for 10 years? They don't buy themselves anything. My brother-in-law told me yesterday that he hasn't bought anything for himself in probably 3 or 4 years, just because like he doesn't do it. He doesn't prioritize it. That money has to go somewhere else, and he's worried about it. And that sucks. I think we need to take a pause for that. And you need to sit down with your man and talk about what he's stressed out about and fix this lack of real communication, because if he can connect with you at least, like it's something. He wants to just be heard. The burdens on his mind are horrible, and and the connection with other people, he can't connect with it. It's essentially him complaining about things, and the only audience he has to listen is the woman. Unless he's in therapy, but we all know men aren't therapy, so who are they talking to? Where's the connection? There's no friends, there's no therapy. The only person he's talking to is his spouse, his loved one, and she don't want to hear it. So he swallows that shit, and that's why men are dying at a young age. I mean, the stats aren't lying. So if any women are watching this, you guys need to try to understand your man and what he's trying to do and what he's going through. So my next reason on why modern men are dying inside is because the pressure to provide. This kind of goes all around, there's so much pressure to provide. That's why he's not buying himself things. He's not going to go to therapy. It costs money. And he doesn't want to fail. It's the lack of failure. Like, men want to provide, don't get me wrong. But when sometimes a lot of these roles in the household, like he can't provide when he has to be at home helping with diapers. Like if you want to drive that Escalade, you better be ready to allow your man to go get serious with his job and work a lot of hours. And it's a give and take. Like, how is he going to make the money without being at work all the time? There's only one way to make money, and it's putting in effort into something that is going to reap the reward. That's how money works. I don't know if you guys need a class on like economics. That's how it works. We can't. Okay, I'm going to just let that go. Okay, so the fourth reason on why modern men are dying is the silent struggles with mental health. So again, this all kind of comes around, it goes full circle here. You know what I mean? Because the silent struggles of mental health, like if you can get your man in therapy, I know a lot of men are against it. Same with like massages. Like, we are old school. And our whole childhood, we were being called gay and made fun of, and we didn't want to be gay, and we don't want to talk to people about our feelings. You have to remember, we spent decades learning that, and that's how we were supposed to be. Hard, unbreakable men. And, talk about mental health. Again, chances are your man's not going to go to therapy, right? We don't want to go to therapy. It feels weird. It feels like we're complaining. But let me think of how to phrase this. These conversations you can have with your man on like his biggest struggles and how you can work with him to help accomplish or like bring down these struggles or like triggers of stress are going to be huge, 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 huge. He's going to be like, oh my God, she's listening. She's like going to put some effort in. Like, that's men's love language. Like, just listen to what I say and like acknowledge it. Acknowledge my thoughts and my feelings. I'm going to leave that one at that. It's pretty simple. The sixth reason is rejection and relationship failures. So a lot of men, you'll probably see this, is men will trudge through crap in a relationship forever. I was willing to stay with my ex-wife just for the sake of my daughter. And I was totally in the wrong for that. You know, looking back, my ex-wife is just like, we can't live together unhappy. And she's totally right. But that just shows you the commitment of not wanting to be a failure as a relationship or like break up the family. That's how men are. Like we don't want that rejection. We don't want people to think our lives aren't together. We want to fit in. We want our families to do well, and we want to excel and feel purpose. It's very, very simple. But like when some of these things in society are kind of like breaking down everything, it's tough. And that leads me to the 7th reason of why men are not doing well. And that's because the crisis of purpose. So you need to have a conversation with your man. And men, if you're listening, you need to figure out where your purpose is. I struggled this and I didn't find it until my mid-30s. And maybe you haven't found it yet. But you need to think about what makes you happy and chase that crap. I know it sounds cliche and low-key dorky, but like think of where you're going to find purpose. Like for a lot of men, it's building things. For me, it's like creating videos that give meaning to the world, which is a weird purpose, I know. But it helps me, man. And financial freedom helped me. And not that this has to be about me, but you know, my purpose was connected to my success. So like chances are, if you're a man or you're a woman thinking of a man on how to help him, is that he needs to find success. And that's probably going to be his purpose as well, because men, as young men, we wanted fancy cars, hot women, and money. Like, there's kind of no way around it. Popularity, probably not even popularity, but like finding that success on where he can be successful. And the workplace is huge. If a man isn't happy in the workplace, he's not happy. And that's a third of your life. You have to remember. So if he's unhappy at his job, if he's working night shift and it's horrible, you need to push him to go do something else. Because what happens is the men in the family is you get on a paycheck to paycheck system, and you need those paychecks, and he feels stuck, and he's worried about the money, and he worries, well, if I leave, I don't think I'll find money, you know, and this family needs me, I'm just gonna stay in my lane. But if he's unhappy, what I like to do with my partner is I consistently ask her like once a month, and I think you should as well. You should ask your partner, are you happy? Are you happy at your job? And I know it's a weird question and people look at me weird when I say it, but it's just like, it's such a huge role in like happiness in life. If you're not happy at your job, like that's a third of your damn life. And I had never been happy at jobs. I worked blue collar, I worked at junkyards, I worked warehouse, night shift, worked on cars. And now I'm a video content creator and I found my purpose. And I don't know, it's kind of depressing to share that I found mine, but like this needs to be about you and your partner or your husband or your boyfriend. Like help him find purpose. If he hates his job, help him find purpose. And this is going to be like a lesson for the ladies. I don't know what it's turned into, but so there you have it, guys. This is again this is my raw, unedited channel here, where this is my therapy, and this one touches close to my heart. I know a lot of men that are really kind of struggling, and that's why I wanted to touch base with this. The modern man is struggling hardcore. We don't have any friends. We don't have any purpose. We're financially just struggling, and it's a crisis. A lot of people aren't talking about this, and I want to shed some light on this. So consider subscribing. I know these videos are a bit boring to watch, but I feel like it resonates. The message is deep, and if it resonates with you, consider subscribing. And we're all in this together. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.